Rev up your engines!
Well, if you think you ever pushed the wrong button on your phone when you ordered something, well, there's a Tesla owner who got billed over $14,000 when he accidentally bought the full self-driving purchase. One thing, you end up with a 99 pile of junk or something you didn't want, but $14,000 by pushing the wrong button, hey, I wouldn't want to be that guy. This guy used his credit card, and he accidentally spent over 14 grand for his Model 3 upgrade for full self-driving. That's their cheapest car. And 14 grand to upgrade that. Yeah, like I say, the guy's ripping everybody off. Oh, and here's the hilarious thing. Here's how it happened. If you double-click the shift panel twice and accidentally engage the autopilot on Model 3, Tesla automatically charges you $14,100 if you haven't purchased it already. Yeah, it's not like, you go someplace, you push it, says, well, if you want to watch this movie, it's going to be $3.95, You just push the buttons and turn it on, it automatically charges you $14,100. Okay, sometimes I bought a movie I didn't want to buy, but it was like maybe $7.95. It wasn't $14,100. Now, this happened when the guy's father-in-law was driving the car. They didn't have to put any password information, a credit card, or personal authorization. It just, away it went. I don't know anybody would allow their credit card to be set up in a system like that. You got to be foolhardy. Tesla just built his credit card that was on file when he pushed those buttons. So the more we get this technology of computer stuff going in, the more things like that will probably happen. And then you got to deal with the end result of you owe a bunch of money, and then you got to prove, well, I didn't want to buy this, I didn't want to do this. I can't believe just by pushing buttons on the thing, it automatically charges them $14,100. I wouldn't have a car that would do. I mean, I've been driving for 53 years. My own personal cars, I spent less than $7,000 for all of them combined. I'm not going to spend twice that for authorization to get self-driving. That doesn't self-drive anyway. Yes, we live in a crazy world. The brown guy, he says, Scotty, is it true to idle your turbo engine for a minute or two after driving to allow the turbo to cool down before shutting off the engine? That used to be the truth for most turbo cars decades ago. They've come a long way with their design. But let's say you drive like a maniac and you're really spinning the wheels. Yes, I would wait a minute or two before shutting it down. Now, you normal drivers that are just driving at the speed limit, 30, 45, whatever, you come home. No. You don't need to. But if you're really pushing it, it's like if you really race a horse around. What do you do after it? You walk them around a little to cool them down. Well, it's the same idea. If it sits there idling, the oil lubricates it, the radiator coolant cools it down, so it is a good idea if you drive like a maniac. Nosferatu says, Scotty, I'm thinking of buying a 2018 BMW 430i. How do I test it without a scanning tool? Well, let me tell you something. If you think about one of those, I think you should see a psychiatrist and have your head tested, because those things are the biggest money pits on the planet. You can do road testing. I have a video how to quickly check out a used car. Do that. You'll get some idea. But that's a BMW. The data in those things will make your head spin. I recently got a scan tool, and this thing is insane. I tried it out on a BMW, and it must have had 75 pages of information for me to go through. It's just a good thing that the stuff is color-coded, because I can whip through it. If it's green, it's fine. If it's yellow, you wonder if it's red, there's a real problem. You need something like that, checking out a car like that. You would be insane to just buy it without paying a mechanic to check it out. Even if you had a scan tool, there are so many things that are hidden in a BMW. See, the Germans aren't like the Japanese and the Americans, where they give you a lot of information on OBD2. The Germans stick back and they go to the letter of the law. Anything to do with pollution, it has to be an OBD2. They'll give you the information. But all the other information, you got to have a good, expensive scan tool for that. I just got a new Pro Think tool. It's a $5,000 tool. It's not a cheap tool, but it does all that stuff. You're best off to pay somebody with one of those machines to check out that car. You don't want to buy it without doing that. You'd be crazy. Well, technology hasn't taken over absolutely everything yet. On a 2021 Chevrolet Silverado, you can still get crank windows. Okay, for you young people that don't know what a crank window is, originally didn't even open or close, they were just there. Then they had ones that you would slide by hand, right? Then of course they came up with the cranks, where you crank the crank, that would make it go down. You crank it in the opposite direction, it would make it go up. Then they went to electric windows. And of course, the crank windows generally can last forever. You don't have all that nonsense to deal with. Motors breaking, regulators breaking, falling off the tracks. So GM, I guess, figures there's people that still want that, because pickup trucks, a lot of it's old school, right? You're getting a 1500, 2500, and a 3500 Silverado if you're getting a new one. Now, you can only get this in the base models. You can't get fancy everything else. It's a base model. It's got the hand crank, too. Now, you might wonder, why are they doing this? Well, some of it has to do with competition and price. Thousands of these trucks are government or commercial or industrial fleet vehicles. So GM has to produce a low-spec version. It's cheaper to make crank windows than electric ones, of course, because it's businesses and the government buying them, and they're tight on the money. They want to see what kind of a price they can get. If they're buying 100 of them, they want to get a decent price. So, they're going to try to make them so they're cheaper to make. And hilariously enough, I was reading an article of a guy who's got a Silverado, and he says, hey, he wished he would have bought one of those, because in the last 12 months, this guy's had 3 power window failures in a Silverado. So maybe they should go back in time, Crank windows. You don't have to worry about that stuff breaking down, and then you can't roll your window down. Hey, you got to make it to that drive-through to get lunch, If you can't roll it down, that's really inconvenient. You have to get out of your car and walk into the store, right? So maybe we'll go back in time and have more crank windows that don't break, get a little more exercise, so that we won't end up as creatures in the future that have big thumbs from pushing buttons on our phone screens and door electric windows, and not using our arms for actually doing some work besides just fingers pushing. Who knows? Yes, technology is going wild. Now, if you got a modern car with those big navigation screens, get ready. They're going to be all over the place now. It isn't just that big screen that tells you everything and more than what you'd ever want to know about just about anything, including where the nearest cheeseburger can be gotten. Chicago-based auto technology supplier Azumo is making display technology all over the place. In your door panels, on your side windows, in your center consoles. They're doing crazy stuff. It's working on getting displays installed on the back windshield of a car. Let's say Uber driver's coming to pick you up. Your face is on the vehicle. Oh yeah, there I am. That means that's the Uber or the Lyft I'm supposed to go into, And they're working on displays that can flash in a side window and tell you whether the driver's door is locked or unlocked. And of course, the Azumo guys who are selling this say, we're talking about breakthrough display technology. Yes, breakthroughs. We can embed them in all types of surfaces. And as their vice president, Tom, says, this isn't just technology for the driver. It's for the passengers, so they can have more control over their environment. People are really getting carried away with stuff. And we all know what's going to happen. This stuff's going to break. Okay, let's say instead of a side view mirror, you look at the glass, and then it's got a picture with a camera on the side. Well, it's going to break. It's not going to work. The mirror, pretty simple technology that works quite well. But adding all this stuff in, it's going to distract people. I don't care what anybody says. You put that level of technology with things blaring and glaring, it's going to distract people. It's going to cause problems. I was watching the Olympics. While things are going on, they have 3/4 of the screen showing advertisements, and then a little bit on the side showing the live thing going on. Let's face it, they're getting carried away with the stuff. Today, I'm reading a Forbes magazine article. Right when I start reading them, videos start playing in the middle that I can't turn off. In the middle of while I'm reading an article. It wasn't like it started out and I had to wait. I'm reading the article. In the middle of me reading the article, up pops a stupid advertisement that gets in the way of me reading. Now, you could scroll and read a little bit at the time, but you couldn't see the pictures. It's really annoying, people. Do you understand that if you're going to do this stuff and send that stuff out to people like that, you're actually doing a harm to your product? Because I look at that product and say, I'm never going to buy that product. They're annoying. They have annoying advertisements. Annoying people doesn't work. Give you a suggestion, yes, but you're reading something, all of a sudden this advertisement pops up in the middle of you reading at it. I'll never forget that movie that they made about the future and how stupid people got, where they showed the whole side of the wall was a giant screen, right? But there were hundreds of ads running, and there was a little tiny square in the middle that was showing the actual programming. I guess we're getting close to that now in our society. And if you didn't watch the ads, you were penalized in society. society. You had to watch so many ads a day or you got penalized. Let's hope it doesn't go that far. The other day, I learned how to turn off the screens. When you're pumping gas and it runs an ad, there's a second button on the right. You push to turn it off. Well, some of those don't even work anymore. They shut it off. I kept pushing the button. The ad kept running. So please, lighten up, people. Lighten up with the ads. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.